Guys, and welcome back to HR Talks with Lish. I hope you're all doing well. I'm happy to be back and I'm happy to be recording once again. But today I'm going to be focusing on the CIPD Profession Map. So some of you may be wondering, what's the CIPD Profession Map? I've never heard of that before. Well, I'll just show you an image of it right now. This is the CIPD Profession Map, and this is what I'm going to be going through in this video, specifically the core knowledge section, because I'm going to split the video into 3 different parts so you can get a proper detailed perspective of what is included within this profession map. But essentially, it includes all of the key skills and factors needed to be a great people professional, and it's created by the CIPD, so why are we not following it? So if this is something that you're not familiar with, then you've landed on the right video, because I'm going to be taking you through, as I said, the core knowledge section of this first and foremost, and then we'll go on to the core behaviours and specialist knowledge part. So what is the CIPD Profession Map? Well, the CIPD Profession Map is basically a tool that you can use to help you better understand what the people profession is all about in terms of the skills that are needed across every grade of the CIPD membership and how you should be implementing them within either your organisation or how you can relate it to further study. The CIPD Profession Map is also there to allow you to see in a condensed level what different skills should be utilised within your HR career. So you'll probably see a lot of overlap with the skills that I'm going to mention in this video and the course that you're probably doing within the CIPD, or if you're studying at the moment at university for a HR qualification. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about is probably things that you may already have come across, but I think it's great to have access to the profession map because you can then identify what your strengths and weaknesses are and then utilise that to then progress within your career. So depending on what level you are within the CIPD as a member, if you are a member, can depend on how you can utilise these skills to your benefit within your career. So the different membership levels are the foundation level, you've got the student member level, you've got the chartered member level, and then you've got the chartered fellow member level. Now, all of these different levels of membership have been indicated on the CIPD Profession Map, which I think is amazing because let's say you're at associate level and you want to one day become a chartered member, you can see the differences in terms of what you need to do to adapt the skills and the knowledge that I've provided on the profession map to get to the next level. So it can really help you to identify, lay out those next steps when it comes to your career progression on how you want to progress throughout the CIPD. So in that sense, I think it is really essential. But in today's video, I'm going to focus more so on the foundation member to the associate level member, because I know that a lot of my subscribers are around that range. But obviously, if you are thinking of moving up, because I mean, one day I'm thinking of becoming a chartered member at some point, then it's really good to do that cross comparison. So the first factor that I want to discuss within the core knowledge part of the CIPD Profession Map is people practices. People practices are the processes and approaches that we use across the employee life cycle. And it's essential that we understand these practices in order to be effective people professionals. So for example, some of these practices include understanding and developing people policies, recruiting people, creating talent pools, learning needs analyses. All of these examples that I've just mentioned are types of people practices. Now, within the different memberships from foundation level all the way to associate level, it's really important that we have an understanding of this. But I would say within foundation and student membership, you just need to have an understanding of what this is and how it affects work. Whereas an associate member level, you need to have more of an understanding of the implications and the impacts that this has on your work and where it fits into the work that you do. So it's really important that we have a thorough understanding of people practices within the people profession so that it just allows us to be as effective as possible. A lot of the areas that I did mention were specialist areas. So for example, with recruiting people, that may be down to talent acquisition or recruiters. And when it comes to learning needs analyses, maybe that's something that L&D have more of a specialist knowledge in. But the new updated CIPD Profession Map has stated that all of these different parts of the people profession need to be understood by any people professional because it's so important to all of our development. It doesn't matter if you're a HR intern, you're a HR admin, or you're a HR assistant. It doesn't matter if you're a business partner or a manager. Whatever level you are, you should have some kind of understanding of these different people practices. So the second factor within core knowledge is culture and behaviour. It's integral that people professionals understand the importance of a positive work environment and how the organisation and culture can have an impact and effect on this. It can have an effect on so many different things within the organisation, such as leadership styles, promoting learning, but also understanding that giving people within the organisation a voice can help people professionals to have influence and ensure that other leaders within the organisation understand the importance of the employee voice. There's so many different aspects when it comes to culture and behaviour within the organisation that we need to be aware of as people professionals. It's expected for organisational behaviour professionals to really understand this section thoroughly. But as I mentioned before, it doesn't matter if you are a specialist within the area or people professionals. Having a good knowledge on culture and behaviour within an organisation is essential for progression and growth within the career. So for foundation and student level, it's important for you to understand what culture is and why it's important, but also to understand the organisation as a whole and how culture and behaviour have an impact on this. At associate level, it's important to understand what culture looks and feels like within an organisation, but also how culture and people practices can have an effect on the way the culture is perceived and looked at. So the third point within the core knowledge section of the CIPD Profession Map is understanding business acumen. Now, this is the biggest part of the CIPD Profession Map, and I honestly think that it's very, very important myself, because we need to have a good understanding of how the business and the organisation works in order for us to have an impact within it as people professionals. Understanding your organisation's mission statements, values, understanding what the purpose of your organisation is and how your organisation is contributing to society is essential, because if you understand that, you can ensure that the people practices that you're providing interlinks with that, meaning that it all resonates and makes sense to the employees, the leaders within the organisation, and it allows the people team to be heard and seen even more, allowing us to provide so much more value. It's also important to understand external trends too. What's happening outside of your organisation? What is happening with the competitors of your organisation? And how can you pick and perceive these trends and see what is happening within your organisation and how you can fit into that equation in terms of people practices. Understanding external influences also has a massive impact on how well we can provide within the business. So this is why the business acumen section of the CIPD Profession Map is such a big part, and I do recommend that you have a read into what the CIPD have stated around this, because I've just given you a brief overview, but it is really important. So for foundation and student level, it's important to know what products and services does the business that you're within provide and who are the customers. And it's also important to understand the external influences that are affecting the organisation. At associate member level, you need to understand your business or organisation's strategy and how this will connect to the people policies that are being implemented. You also need to understand the different trends happening within your organisation externally. So what are the social, economic and technological trends that are happening right now? So number 4, evidence-based practice. Why is this important? Well, it's really important to use stakeholder insights, research, data that you've gathered from your work to deliver impactful and insightful work for your organisation. Looking at evidence-based practice allows you to ensure that you are always improving on how you're providing within the company, because you're using the evidence that you've gained based on work or analysis that you've carried out to make an impact or make a change. So it's really important that this is also something that you're considering and thinking about whilst you're working within the people profession. At the foundation and student member level, it's important to understand and look out for the different evidence-based practices and identify the different tools you can use to acquire evidence-based research, such as SWOT analyses, the PESTEL analyses, or the 5 Whys. Utilising these will be beneficial in allowing your work to flourish for you to make better decisions and come to better outcomes. At associate level, instead of understanding what evidence-based practices like foundation and student level, you've actually got to utilize it in your everyday work. You've got to know exactly what evidence-based practice method needs to be used for what situation to make sure that you're coming out with the right outcome and having the best decision. So number 5 is understanding technology. How is technology influencing the people profession at the moment? And to be honest, we've gone through such a significant time over the past few years with this COVID pandemic. So much has changed when it comes to technology within the people profession. We've had to adapt to new ways of learning and working, such as learning online, doing a lot of Zoom calls, doing a lot of Teams calls online and not having these in-person meetings. So we've had to rely on technology so much more. But also for different elements within the people profession, such as doing and delivering training courses online instead of in person. It's very essential that people professionals are adapting to these new ways of technology in order to stay up to date with the current trends and understand how this can affect and help the employees within the organisation. Also, so many people now are using a hybrid approach to working as well. So within the people profession, we are looking at different ways in which we can adapt and ensure that people can communicate with us when it comes to these situations. So at the foundation and student level, tech basically needs to be understood in terms of what different tech can be used within the people profession and how this impacts work. Whereas at the associate level, it's more so how can we ensure that the tech we have can be utilised in the best way to make work more easier in certain situations, and understanding that what tech needs to be used in different situations. And at the associate level, we just need to understand what tech is available to us and how this is enabling a better work-life environment for the workforce. So the final point that I want to go through with you all is change. Now, this is something that happens within the people profession so often. Change comes in various different ways, whether it be you need to come up with a new business case because something's changing within the people profession or within the organisation and it needs to be pitched to leaders and stakeholders within the organisation, or whether it be you are trying to change the culture of your organisation. You're seeing that the culture isn't the way it should be. What can be done to implement new ways in developing and creating a positive culture? How are you listening to the views of other people when it comes to the changes that are happening and take these into consideration when implementing something such as change? There's so many different factors and influences and things that will lead to change inevitably as a people professional. So it's really important that you understand how to adapt to these situations. So at the foundation and student level, it's important for you to understand what is change and how we can adapt to it. At associate level, it's important to understand how we can use data to manage change, but also understand change management, understand the advantages and the disadvantages of it from a people perspective, because it's important that you need to get what the insights are of this change. You need to understand how the change is going to affect the whole organisation from a people perspective and the best practices in order to make sure that you are delivering the change in the best way possible. So we've come to the end of the video now, and I'm really happy that I've been able to share all of this with you. If you've never heard of the CIPD Profession Map before and this is the first time you're hearing about it, please let me know in the comments and let me know if what I've said to you has actually helped. If you've got this far in the video as well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you continue to get tips and advice from this channel, which helps you to grow within your careers within HR. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.